All right, our next featured poet is Virgil Suarez. He was born in Havana, Cuba in 1962. At the age of 12, he arrived in the United States. He received an MFA from Louisiana State University in 1987. He's the author of 8 collections of poetry, most recently 90 Miles Selected and New, and The Painted Bunting's Last Molt, published by the University of Pittsburgh Press. And I'll be putting links in for those books. His work has appeared in a multitude of magazines and journals internationally. He's the recipient of an NEA, a State of Florida Individual Artist Grant, and the Latino Literature Prize. He lives with his wife in fucked up Florida. Thank you, Virgil, and welcome.
I didn't think you were going to say that, but I wrote it, so why not? Thank you, Judy and Lenny and everybody at South. What is it? South Florida Poetry. Yes. I'm going to keep my reading a little short because maybe we'll get a chance to talk about a couple of things, including something that Carolina brought up about her high bun, right? The collection. And I want to talk a little bit about where my work has gone since I am turning 64. I'm way past the meridian. And I don't feel, I'm a tenured professor. I feel like I don't have anything to prove. I don't need to be vetted. And, the time is of the essence. And so lately, back when COVID hit and we were all basically under house arrest with my friend Michael Rothenberg, may he rest in peace. We started talking about being proactive and taking matters into your own hands and doing what you want to do without really asking for permission or for funding or anything like that. So in the last couple of years, I've been doing these self-published projects that I wanted to do, which will include photographs and art and all of that. And so this is the poems I'm going to read are part of a new little chapbook that I'm working on, that I've had a lot of fun creating the graphics for it and laying out the book, doing a one-person operation. The poems come from class exercises where those of us who teach, you very quickly realize that there is no common ground anymore in the classroom in terms of what the students are hearing or seeing or watching or smell. There's no common ground. So we've been doing a lot of current events. Kind of like every time that we meet, we try to write a poem about these things. And so I tell them, when I assign these things, I go home and I take my own medicine. So some of these poems, I think you're going to easily recognize in your recent memory. Some of these interesting things that happen and that we note. So I'll begin. And this is from a little chapbook that's going to be coming out hopefully before Christmas called Red-Faced Poems. And you'll see why red-faced eventually. Chinese weather balloon. Plenty of room in this country for a lost weather balloon, silver and glowing in the blue stratosphere, but visible if you squint long enough and your eyes water. Force majeure, easy to let the currents carry you weightless, like the feeling you get in a roller coaster's free fall. Spy balloon, my ass. This one was a birthday gift for a child alien from a distant galaxy whose father promised a trip to Disneyland. Of course, the child let it slip, and now it hangs over Montana and then Kansas, adrift and rudderless. Americans demand it be shot down and eventually is 8 miles off the coast of South Carolina. So much anticipation and deflation, a dead and bloated jellyfish on the surface of the Atlantic. What is a poet to do but write to a friend to say next time a Chinese weather balloon floats overhead, he will shoot it down and make a dress and matching crown with its luminous material. All of this to say I am learning how to sew. Gentrified gentrified cumbia. The fixer-uppers arrived off Long Beach Boulevard and took jackhammers and paint and turned houses into profit, all along paying Mexicans peanuts for their labor. Always squeeze and plunder, so it goes, where the hookers walked in for quick blows or hand jobs and asked what kind of music they were fucking to. Mighty buck cumbias and norteñas, how money exchanges hands in this sunny land of palm trees and tall fences. The cinched lawns missed the rain. One by one, houses got modernized and painted, changed hands to these white young couples who moved down from Silicon Valley, wanting to raise a new generation of gringos. They never go away, even when they know this land is not theirs, no matter. They take and take, fix and move the old folks out who can no longer afford the new taxes. Everyone now sings this heartbreak cumbia. You can hear it blasting out of the broken windows of the next house. The kids play in the dirt. The old woman with the umbrella says, "There goes the neighborhood. Ahua!" Back when my parents raised rabbits for food, I watched my father cut clumps of wild watercress and dandelion from a marshy river bank for the Rexes he bartered chickens for. I love the crunch the blade made against the bunched stalks, earthy scents of mud on my shoes, green stain on my fingers, all those big floppy-eared, wide-eyed bunnies. He said the grass kept them in perfect breeding condition. I mixed watercress into our dinner salad. My father is gone, and so are the rabbits. Sometimes you allow your needs to take you to a hillside from where you get to see the entire curve of your life and the way shadows break at angles, as if to converge in the center of a life not so well lived, but filled with vast slopes and reciprocal love. Vernal equinox horse meat. What used to redden leaves so they'd fall like dead cardinals, not the birds, but the cardinal, but the clergyman. My father butchered horses to feed the tigers and lions at the Havana Zoo. I saw his cuticles pink by residue. At night, the dry air popped my nasal capillaries, cabecitas de vena, as my mother called them, and a trickle of constant blood flowed down my throat. A cotton ball stopped the blood from staining my pajamas or pillow. When the flow stopped, I pulled the cotton slow, and a tendril of coagulated blood oozed from my nose, and I kept it on the nightstand. In the morning, the dried up curlicue of blood looked dark and crispy, like what I imagined horse entrails looked like. Horses with ticks gorging in their ears, mosquitoes and flies tormenting my father and the other butchers. Yes, we ate horse meat, which my mother made into tasajo and served with boniato blanco. We ate what my father brought home. At sunset, we watched the sky blush with orange and yellow. The cigar smoke wafted in the humid air. The frogs jumped on the cool porch tiles. Green spots by the windows. The crickets and fireflies buzzed in the grass. Sometimes the only place to be is right where you feel the weight of sleep taking you down, a river catching the last spark of light. All right, all right. Maybe a couple of more. Yeah, a couple of more, and then we'll we'll get hope to we'll get the party started. This is a familiar one to you. This is called Santos the Wrestler. Santos the Wrestler sashayed right into Congress, Clark Kent glass frames and all, Brazilian drag queen, muy bonita, sequins and glitter makeup in the sunshine of a previous life before Baroque college days and volleyball and your poor mind dying in the fires of 9/11. You can be anything in the United States, a champ, a hero, a thief of ornate scarves. Enter the ring, Santos, with your Mexican wrestling mask on. Flex your muscles, pose for the paparazzi who don't want your donuts, but instead hound you for the truth. Smile and hide behind the gold mask, emblazoned with a fire-bred phoenix. You are a natural born liar. Your opponent swings and scissors you between his legs down to the mat where you break like a piñata, spilling Narcissus contraband, cheap-ass candy not even the kids want to eat. All right, and then I'll end with this one again. Recent, maybe it's been 20 years, but in my mind, I still think of him, and it's still very recent for me, and perhaps more so as I get older. This is a poem called "Jack Kevorkian's Thanatron Receives Nobel Prize in Medicine." All the good poets are passing from our lives, leaving secret words in the garden. The wren always finds the wrong place to nest, as if to confuse the corn snake intent on destroying. Every creation has its perils. The good know when the time comes and we can use all the help we can get. Nobody wants to die alone or speechless. Breath leaves the body in a tranquil pose. The good doctor knew how eyes close in gratitude. The grass is always moist with grief. The rest is the tenderness of the living, a stroke through hair, a kiss, the way lips clasp in that final goodbye, and I love you. See you on the other side of the pond, frothing with verdant duckweed and the restlessness of brilliant jade dragonflies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Virgil. Your poetry just defies description, but I can tell you I love it. And I'm just so thankful that you came and shared it with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy.
Let's open it up for discussion. Everybody can unmute if you'd like. And if you have questions, if you have things you want to talk about, we have plenty of time. We can engage with each other and all things poetry.
Well, I had a question for Virgil. I noticed, especially in Facebook and things like that, you post a lot of your artwork and collages. How did you move and photography? And I saw the book that you did. How did you transition, or like, is it speaking to you more, the visual than the language, or can you address that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing those two things most of my life in the closet, you know, and I had always been looking for a way to bring them together, you know, when we think about hybridity, right? Have a volume where I would have photographs and poems and art. And I realized that because of my career as a poet, and you know, people just know me as a poet, as a writer. And so, you know, when I say vetted, I mean, what is it that they call it when you have to send your work out so that at least 3 people can, oh my goodness, in academia, it's called something, right?
Peer reviewed.
Peer review, yes. So, you know, the peer review when you're young, and it's certainly when you're entering the academy, peer review is de rigueur. You have to do it whether you like it or not. But after so many years, you know, and I say past meridian, meaning half of my life already has gone. I feel like I'm running out of time, and these things take time. It takes time for you to enter a community and to establish yourself. And so I knew that I was never going to be able to do that either in photography or art. So during the pandemic, I took matters into my own hands and decided to, since I had spent summers upon summers learning Photoshop and InDesign, I decided to do a volume and have fun doing it, which took several years because I already had the art, I had the poems, I had the photographs. But the design of the book almost took 2 years, and I finally, you know, put it out through Amazon Kindle, and the book I think sold maybe 200 copies, which is not bad, and I was very satisfied by that. And I didn't, you know, I didn't need to be vetted or peer reviewed. And I could give the book away to family and friends and trade in kind with other poets and painters and photographers. So I felt good about that. The other thing that happened during the pandemic was that, and because of that, I started a little press. So, and I've been inviting people. That's why when you said the high bun and who's going to do it, I would love to look at it and see if again. I tell my students, check your expectations at the door in terms of what you want your poems. Sometimes a book will not find. I think Rick Campbell, who lives in Panacea, I think
Alligator something.
Yeah,
Alligator Point.
I think his first book, which was an award-winning book, he finally won an award for it. I think it was 15 years in the making. And so, yes, patience is good, but as you're trying to get out there, eventually you have to be proactive. You have to do something. So I encourage people to, at different stages of their lives, to be proactive and if they can, if they want to self-publish. At the end of the day, the book, I think, finds its way or not, but that's okay, But yeah, it's especially if you want to do watercolors with poems. I love that. I've always been, I guess it's from reading kids' books. I love the art and words put together. The book is disappearing. There you go. The book is disappearing into your background.
I can't get it to
But yeah, I mean, thank you for
that's from American Chernobyl.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book. Yeah.
Yeah. And I turned it into a coffee table top book because I figured I've always wanted to do and who's going to do a coffee table book of your poems and your art and your photography? You will, So it worked out, and I'm very happy about it. I mean, my art is so private. I feel like that is still part of it, right? I don't have to show it to anybody, even though I show it on social media. I give it away. There's no money involved in my art because I don't want money to dirty things up. If you want a piece of original Suarez art, all you have to do is send me an email, say, hey, here's my address, send me a little something, and I love that, right? A little piece of me going out into the world, and probably nobody will ever see it, and it'll end up, I think, in a thrift store one day, or get covered up or thrown out.
My living room. I have the two pieces you sent in the. Was great.
Yeah, and Carolina, I mean, this new project of the songs sounds fantastic. Wonderful, and I can't wait. Let us know when the CD.
Yeah, I've already heard it all, and it's magnificent. So
yeah,
I love collaboration, and I love music. And I'm not a musician, but I've had musicians in my family. So this was really exciting to be able to collaborate with musicians. It was wonderful.
Absolutely wonderful.
Carolina, talk about Maureen a little bit.
Talk about Maureen.
A little bit,
come on, Lenny, what kind of question is that?
Well, you workshop with her, you collaborated with her?
Yeah, of course.
Well, let's
as a one-of-a-kind, spectacular human being.
Yeah.
Generous, inventive, creative, both an amazing poet and human being. So
yeah.
And she really impacted a lot of people, collaborated with a lot of people, and touched a lot of people. That's why so many people love her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was very important in my life. So
you came down to Florida when, Carolina? When did you were in Miami, yes?
Oh,
yeah. Do you mean when did I move to Miami?
Yeah, the reason why I phrase it that way is because I remember seeing you in the old, South Florida poetry. What was it, Earthwise, and all those old Florida-based publications, Catharsis, I think.
Well, I'm
South Florida
raised,
poetry, huh?
I was raised in Miami. I was in
Okay.
Miami City
Oh,
Center
okay.
since I was 9, you know, and
Okay,
just,
so
and
that
only
that answers
recently,
that.
yeah, only
Yeah.
recently left.
Because
So,
I remember your stuff in the South Florida Poetry Institute anthologies, and I'm
Mhm.
talking early 1980s, mid 80s,
yeah. Yeah, I
right?
was very involved in all that, the book fair
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah, I taught at
sure.
Miami-Dade College for 34
Okay,
years.
right.
That's my
Well,
life.
you were one of those names that every time I opened up one of the local publications down here, you would have something in there.
Yeah. So,
So,
yeah, definitely yeah. Anybody else have questions?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about collaboration? I've always been curious about how different people do collaborations. I know sometimes people send a line or two and then the next person takes off from there and then they trade line by line. And other times it's a much bigger piece of work that they've discussed it ahead of time and then they write different
Right.
pieces of it. How do you do that when you collaborate with other poets?
Well, we collaborated. I mean, Maureen started it. She's like the queen of collaboration, but our little group, we collaborated for 7 years and we workshopped every week. Holly's here, can talk about it too, and Nicole. And we did all kinds of things. I mean, we sometimes put out a theme and then each of us wrote a different poem, but on that theme. Sometimes we wrote on the spot during the workshop and shared. Sometimes Nicole was really good at helping us like set up a blackboard where we would, you know, put down words and images. Sometimes we had a title, like for how we got into trouble, how to get into trouble. We would have titles, really, you know, what we thought were clever titles. And then we'd each go for the week and write several lines. We'd come back with those lines and then we'd juggle them and recreate them into poems. So
Amazing.
we did all kinds of, that's the fun of it, you know, all kinds of different collaboration. We did, we would, you know, use imagery sometimes. Sometimes we used music and we all wrote from the music. Sometimes we read poems by, every week we'd bring a poem from a favorite person. So we did, you know, with them it was more complicated because there were 4 of us. But I worked like with Nicole. We worked on those heroic sonnets at Miami. We did for the city of Miami, and for that we just did 2 lines, 2 lines. We alternated every 2 lines because Nicole and I worked together on the sonnet. So you know, like you said, everybody. It depends on the personalities and you know a lot of factors how you collaborate. But that's the way I've done it with.
Carolina, I want to say that we had the experience of what got us going was a call for a submission for
Oh yes.
tombs. And
Yeah.
Maureen's favorite thing with me was to try to get me to write forms because I hate forms. She's like, oh, it's going to be so much fun. And I'm like, ugh. But it was to make pantoums out addressing a line by Ocean Vuong was the leaping off point about gun violence. And it was a group in Chicago that was putting together an anthology of poetry against gun violence.
That's true. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, and that
7
was
years
back
ago.
at the beginning. And then the other part of it was Nicole, who was a new mom. So she was like on the timer. I've got exactly an hour and 45 minutes. She would start just taking what we had sent and typesetting it and putting it up on the thing, going, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? And then once we could see our lines woven together, it helped end you know, that ceaseless, how about this? How about that? Which, you know, is kind of fun for about 10 minutes, but not much longer than that. But it was a great experience.
I think also the thing I love the most was the influence of the other poets, you know, because we have very like Holly said, she's writes prose poetry from mostly, right? And Maureen is super like inventive, surreal, and I'm more narrative, whatever. But we each have our own voices, but then that exposure for 7 years of different people's voices begins to permeate your own, you know, and It's a wonderful experience. I love, even though writing is like an alone profession. I mean, I don't know why I got into it because I'm a very social person and I love collaborating. So anytime I have an opportunity, I do collaborations because I love it.
Thank you. Nicole, did you want to add anything about the collaboration?
Yeah, sure. It was, I mean, it was a really big part of my motherhood, actually. Like when Holly brought it up, it was like, oh my God, yeah, like I was a new mother. And then I was a new mother to having a second child. And then, it was like, so it was just really exciting in that sense to be going through all of these, exciting parts of my life and collaborating with these poets and yeah, and I remember just being really helpful with the technology, so that was good. I think so I had a big part of that. And actually to connect to something Mr. Suarez that you had said about having like freedom to self-publish is something that I'm also kind of starting to feel comfortable with and I'm starting to like I think benefit from because all the gatekeeping is just so exhausting all the time because I'm in academia too and it's like I laugh when you said the thing about what's that thing again and mom was like peer review and I'm like oh my God like it's just slowing down the project and and I mean it's good in the end right because then like more people hear about the book and everything but I just love being able to do like what you said just if you want to put watercolor next to your language and you don't want somebody to tell you where to put it you can literally just learn to upload it on Amazon and just have your art out there even if you're simultaneously doing the gatekeeping or dealing with the gatekeeping. So I just wanted to say that like super inspired me in many different ways. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I think I ended up getting freed from all of that by the time I was in my 50s, and I started thinking, when you think about all of the different arts in this country, all of the creativity that goes on has to be certified usually by somebody who has no say whatsoever in the process of creation. I mean, I'm thinking of artists and then galleries and all of the people that get in between the painting and the viewer. And they shouldn't be there, but we live in a country where that has to happen because again, people feel like they need to make money, and eventually you shed all of that, and you're really creating purely for yourself and and for the record that you are going to leave, which is again not guaranteed that it's going to last, but it filled a lot of needs in you, and you did it, and you move on, and that's it. So I mean I still do poetry and I write my essays and all of that, but these days I'm totally into the art for that reason, because it's so primordial for my own mental well-being, and the fact that instant gratification. I begin something in the morning, and usually by the afternoon, I have an idea or a finished piece that I can look at and say, I like it or I don't like it, and start again. But yeah, but if you're again, my suggestion is if you're in academia, unfortunately, at least for the time being, you've got to jump those hoops. And then once you get to a point where there are no more hoops to jump, then you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
including changing genres. I mean, I have
Yeah.
colleagues who write kids' books who are not getting any credit for them because,
I'm like that. Yeah.
so yeah.
But it was just great. It was just really validating and exciting to hear that other people are on this journey, because like you said, your colleagues don't talk about those side projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. I recommend for my students. This came out right during the pandemic. It's a documentary that first appeared on Netflix. I want to think that it's still there. By Bo Burnham. The documentary is called Inside, and it's this young kid who had a YouTube channel who ended up doing this amazing documentary all by himself, meaning he did the music, he did the cinematography, he did the video editing, he did the lighting, he did the costume, he did the whole thing. And I thought, oh my goodness, this kid is exactly what I would urge all young people to be, which is be creative and do what you need to do, and forget the and forget the handles and the
Yeah.
handwords, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question for both poets. The great potter M.C. Richards taught at Black Mountain College. She was an English teacher there. She was a potter. And one time she made the statement, the re-enchantment of art through agriculture. And so my question for you, are you a nature writer or are you an urbane poet? It's for both of you. Talk about that a little bit in your work. We'll start with either one. Carlino, let's start with you.
Well, I think my writing is a journey along with my personal journey. So I think I've become more of a nature writer as I've immersed myself more in nature. In fact, it's this last book that I'm working on, that I read those last 2 poems, I'm actually going back writing about, for example, when I went to college, we went to Gainesville, to University of Florida from Miami. And then my husband and I, very young, decided, well, Gainesville's too big even. And we bought a house. Well, house, you could call it a house. We bought these wooden cottages off of Lake Santa Fe. And this poem that I just recently wrote this week is really the first time, that's like 40 years ago. It's when Nicole was born. So before Nicole was born. So I'm exploring that was my nature awakening, right? From coming from the suburbs. I don't know if I'm really an urban person or a suburbs person, because that's where I grew up in Miami, in the suburbs. But I think that it takes time, right? And so I think now that I have more time and that I'm even more in touch with nature, I don't know if I'm a nature poet, but I'm a poet that writes about nature a lot.
Wait, can I speak to that? As your daughter, can I speak to that?
Yeah, of course.
You are such a nature poet, Mom. Like get over yourself. She loves nature. She loves writing about it. Like, she's been writing about it forever. She writes about lots of other things too. But I would say, Mom, that, nature is like in there. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
it's almost like a language, I think, that speaks so much. Like when in your writing, it's just incredible. But yeah, I didn't mean to answer the question for you. Thanks. Sorry, Mom.
There you go. Sometimes other people know you better.
The New Eurekan poet Victor Hernandez Cruz has this amazing line, which goes like this: geography is the history of my body, which is in cahoots with what Carolina was saying. I grew up, I went from Havana to Madrid, from Madrid to Miami, from Miami very quickly to Los Angeles, kind of an urban city viewpoint. And then we've now been living 33, 34 years in the woods in Tallahassee. And as much as I try to stay indoors, I still go out and nature finds me. So there are certain things that happen that I feel like I have to write. And so and as a poet, you should write a variety of different poems, both nature and urban, whatever comes to mind. A poem a day keeps the doctor away. So, it's if you're exposed to it, write it. A corn snake not too long ago, found a nest of hummingbirds, the very first nest in that many years of hummingbirds I've ever seen in our gardenias. And I saw the nest, I saw it had chicks in it, and I saw the corn snake. And I had one of those moments where I thought, do I interfere or do I let things, be? And of course, I decided to let things be. And 2 days later, the nest was empty. And the corn snake was in the driveway. It had no idea where that nest was, but within 2 days it found the nest and ate the babies, and it was horrible. But yeah, stuff like that affects me as a person, and so it makes me want to take it down for the record, So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Do we have other questions? Anyone?
Well, I just wanted to say it's great seeing you guys, Carolina, Virgil. I had asked Judy and Michael to do a reading with you guys because I felt bad that you guys didn't show up in the anthology, the Chameleon Chimera, because apparently emails went out with the permission slip. I think I told you the story, and publisher said that she never got the response, and so therefore it didn't go in. But I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to see you guys read and hear you guys read, so that this is a little bit of that. So yeah.
no, and a great anthology, and it's okay,
Yeah.
it's not, but what I like about the magazine and the impetus is to keep track of all of these voices that are inside of the state.
It's amazing.
Who and hear and continue to write, and eventually, I don't think we have a birth certificate for being Floridian. I think we become and people, going back to my bio where I said I live in fucked up Florida. I mean, that comes from a place of anger where
Yeah.
I truly love, like all of you, I really love this state, and it aggravates me to no end to see, the way it's gone, So, and we're not leaving anytime soon. We will probably die here. But it's a way of bringing attention to all the great voices that are here. So you guys and Books and a whole bunch of other, Lauren Tivey is here. She runs the program at Flagler. She's had many of us go out there. So, word of mouth, and also these Zooms.
Yeah.
I love them because the older I get, the more I hate leaving the house. But I love the sense of community. Last
Yeah.
night I was listening to Tim Siebels and Cornelius Eading, another hour reading, and I thought I could do this. I could do this right after dinner every night. I think it's a
Sure.
lovely, lovely thing to do without having to get in the car or on the plane. So this is absolutely wonderful. So I encourage you guys to keep bringing us more folks in these readings.
I'm just surprised there's not more, like Florida Review and Hinga could do Zoom readings, Plume, what is it? Gulfstream, all these Floridian, what's that of FAU Becca? I think they should all have Zoom readings and have their students and have the poets that they publish, do launch readings and whatnot. Because in doing this anthology, I mean, I've met you before, I knew you before, but I got to know Lauren through the anthology, and there was so many other names from North Florida and all over. I knew Sean, but there was other poets in his area, in Vero Beach area, that I didn't know, and so on and so forth. And it was just so surprising and really great to see that there was so many great poets. I was down here in South Florida since forever. And so now, I had a chance to meet all these great poets and all across the state, and there's a lot of them, and they're all really great. There's some really great poets out there. So, and you guys are a part of all that.
Yeah, I remember as an undergraduate, Sid Field published an anthology called A Geography of Poets, which I still have. It was one of my favorite all-time anthologies because it took every poet that was in every region or state in the country, and everybody was represented, and so you got to know was where and what they were doing. It was beautiful, and so yeah, it's every state has a whole bunch of amazing voices, and so it's important to know who's your neighbor. So thank you.
Truly.
Thank you for all the labor.
Tonight's readings have been recorded, and we will be posting this on the South Florida Poetry Journal website. So other people who didn't get to come tonight can go there and watch your readings over again, and we can enjoy them again if we want to recap them. And Michael does the editing to make them come out smooth, like no glitches happen during the evening. So you'll be proud of it when you see it.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Very much for having us.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
You.